All right, all right, all right. Hello. I think we're going live on YouTube. And all right, we are recording now on Zoom. And we're live. Live on Facebook as well. All right, let me mute that so I can hear myself. All right, hello. Welcome everybody for another installment of Get a Clue in 52. This might be a brief one tonight. There's some activities going on here in the Klubeck household that I want to get back to. So I'm really excited. You know, we come on board every Sunday night. This is actually the second year in a row that I've been doing this. Last year in 2020, I read every tip how to get a clue in 52 every Sunday night. But with the second edition, I've reordered some things, did a couple of edits, cleaned some things up, nice pictures. And I have a preview chapter of the integrity game in here. So that's why it's worth getting the second edition. It's cleaned up, it's ordered differently, and there's a bonus chapter for the integrity game, which I'm really excited about. It's a book I'm working on right now. The first draft chapter is in here for you guys to take a look at, give me feedback on, but we are working on the rest of it as we speak. I'm so excited about that. But let me go ahead and get into it tonight. Usually I'm joined by others online on the Zoom side for live interaction, but I'm not encouraging that tonight because I want to get back to what's going on underneath the Klubeck family roof. And let me go ahead and get things opened up. I usually read from like almost an unending list of dedications to start off, at least until I'm done reading all of them. And tonight's is for Brody. Brody, I hope you can hear this somewhere in the house, young man. Here we go. To Brody, knock, knock, who's there? Jure. Who's Jure? Who's your daddy? Ha 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 ha. I love telling knock knock jokes and playing games with you. Maybe one day you will write a book too. Always remember when opportunity knocks, you always open that door. I love you. All right, that's to Brody, who is one of the pieces of inspiration in my life. I have so many. I'm just like always in gratitude, always thankful for all of the people and the resources and the fortune in my life. Now, let me go ahead and get into tonight's tip. Tonight's tip is in the communication section. I'm sorry, tonight's tip is in the marketing section. We already got done with the communication section, 10 tips there. We're doing 12 tips in marketing. Tonight is the 7th in marketing, the 17th tip overall. Let me go ahead and do a review of the first 6 tips. Tip number 1 in the marketing section was know what you need to know, then know it. And it's really just a survey of like the next 11 tips, right? But all in bullet list form for you to get your mind around it to start with. And I don't necessarily believe that you need to master all 11 or you need to make a plan to know all 11. But if you know that there are 11 things that make a bad marketer good or a good marketer better or a great marketer genius, right? You could survey among them and say, well, what am I good at and what do I need to improve on? And like pick maybe 1 or 2 of the 11 that are most important to you right now. And then once you've gotten a handle on that or advanced on that, then look at the list again and say, well, now what are the 2 most important and work on those, right? So that's the way I intended it for you as a tip, but I also intended it to be an overture tip for the rest of tips in the section. And so that took us then to tip number 2 in the marketing section was know your ideal customers. We talked a lot about psychographics and demographics. Demographics are what we can easily see about people. Psychographics are what we need to dig a little deeper on. And the combination of demo and psychographics leads us to things like buyer personas or avatars or ideal customers, etc. So that's a really brief chapter, but it's an important chapter or tip. And then tip number 3 is know the competition, right? Your competition is going after your client. How are they doing it? What are they doing that you want to do also? What are they doing that you want to do better? What are they doing that you don't want to do? What are they not doing that you do want to do? Know your competition. And that's not just like if you're an entrepreneur and have your own business, but for those of you that are in a company that you have a job and you want to get the raise or you want to get the promotion or you want to get the next level of responsibility, who's your competition? Who else is competing? I was watching Glee with my daughter earlier, and Will Schuster, the teacher, was like competing with Jane Lynch character Sue Sylvester for the position that who was going to get tenure. and it ended up going to like the school psychologist person, the counselor. Anyway, I digress. Competition is within you, even inside of an organization. This isn't just for people that have their own businesses. You are all president of your own personal services corporation. Even if you only have one client, which is your job, you are still president. You're still selling your services, your talent, right? And where's the competition for you internally? What raises, promotions, or new levels of responsibility do you want? And how are you going to differentiate yourself? You need to know what the competition is doing and what your competitive advantages are. All right. Tip number 4 in the marketing section, 14 overall, was know the conditions, know the market conditions. Boy, has this been important as we've gotten through, or we're getting through, a pandemic. I mean, market conditions. I mean, I haven't seen anything mess with marketing and business and commerce and the economy and family life the way COVID did. Let's just be honest about it. We're sitting here in 2021 and we are coming out of COVID. I got my first shot today. I'm like half vaccinated now. So that's exciting. But like, wow, that's a big part of the conditions. Now, I'm a big fan of integrity. So I will tell you, why waste a good pandemic? You know, just because COVID exists doesn't mean that we can be out of integrity now. We still have 10 points of integrity that we need to cinch together. That's a preview of the model. Get the book. But my point is, you need to know the market conditions. What's happening? Who's in office? What technologies are emerging? What's happening globally? What's happening politically? What's happening scientifically? What are the universities doing? You got to know the market conditions that you're putting your messages into. All right. Tip number 5 was know the issues. This could have been like add-on to tip number 2, which is know your customer. Because this is really what we're talking about. When knowing our customer, we want to know what pleasure they want to get away from, and what pain they want to get away from, and what pleasure they want to get closer to. So, interestingly enough, maybe we want to know that about customers that aren't even our customers yet. Maybe we have a business and we're selling certain things, but then what we really need to do is imagine, what else can we sell? How do we grow? How do we expand our menu? And then we have to think beyond our current customers to future customers, and what needs might they have? What issues are they facing? How can we resolve people's issues? So like a coin has a heads and a tails, an issue has an opportunity or a problem. Same thing. And pleasure and pain. And it's really important, if you know what pain your prospects want to get out of, what pleasure your prospects want to get closer to. Now, who's your customer if you're inside of an organization? Well, it's all the stakeholders, all the shareholders in your job. So certainly your boss, but definitely your coworkers, your teammates. Who do you interact with cross-functionally? Who people that are affected or negatively by the good job you do or don't do, right? Those are your customers. Whether they're paying you out of their pocket, doesn't matter. Are they dependent on you doing a good job to have a better life for themselves? That's your clientele. That's your customer base. All right. So know their issues and speak to and serve and market your way into those issues, and the knowledge of those issues will get you more responsibility, more clients, more investments, etc. And then last week we talked about tip number 6, which is know your stuff. Know your stuff. Like, know your products and services so well that you at any given moment can market the right piece of information to the right prospect. We talked about that last week, so no need for me to elaborate too much on that tonight. And it gets me, though, to tip number 7 in the marketing section, tip number 17 overall, page number 51. And I'm going to go ahead and read word for word. One of my mentor, tip number 7, know your brand / brands. So it's kind of like plural, know your brand / brands. Because I think that every brand has more than one brand. I'll elaborate on that in a minute. All right, here we go. Page 51. One of my mentors, Brian Tracy, taught me that your brand is your promise to the marketplace. So another way of saying tip number 6 is to know your promises. That's a typo. Tip number 7. Maybe it's 6. Let me just make a note there. All right. Tip number 6 asks you to focus on the benefits of what you are selling. People confuse features, tip number 5, from benefits. So allow me these examples. A feature of my coaching is accountability, but a benefit of my coaching is increased productivity. A feature of my strategic staffing consulting is candidate screening, but a benefit of my strategic staffing consulting is reduction in turnover and cost per hire. The key question is, what is the promise being made to the prospect? I coach my clients to infuse promises with the two qualities of being attention gating and sensational. Attention gaining and sensational. By attention gaining, I mean speaking directly to the pleasure and pain relief desired by your prospect. Quote, really? You could? End quote, is what you'd want a prospect to say after an attention gaining promise. By sensational, I mean the largest promise, the greatest promise that you know you could back up. Because this is a marketing tip, don't get caught up in legal semantics of the word promise. It's used to provoke marketing messages, not legal and binding agreements in this context. So, what pain is your prospect in that you can relieve? What pleasure does your prospect seek that you can promise because of your company, your team, stuff, or yourself? Did you catch that at the end of the last sentence? Yeah. You can brand just about anything that creates a benefit for your customer. I'm going to slow down and say that again. You can brand just about anything that creates a benefit for your customer. If Charlie, my man Charlie, were online right now, he'd ask me for a Klu snack at the end of tonight's presentation or tonight's jam, and there it is. You can brand anything that benefits, and I'm writing it down, brand anything that benefits the customer. Let me just make a note so I don't forget it. So what I mean by that in this context, and I'm not done reading word for word yet, but I'll come to it, is you could brand the company. The company could make a promise because of its size or swiftness or leadership or reach or policies. So the company can have a brand promise. Like think about IBM, the reliability of the customer service from IBM, or Nordstrom. They're famous for their customer service policies, right? So the company can have a brand, but then the products themselves or the services. So a Tesla car can be a brand in addition to Tesla, the organization, right? How should I say this? I'm trying to think of an instance where the product, well, Coca-Cola, right? God, talking about a bottling company, right? Well, Coca-Cola Bottling Company is a company that promises a complete line of refreshing beverages, right? Coke is one brand, but they also have Sprite as a brand, and they have other brands within the brand, if you understand that. You could also brand your team. I've been Coach Jeffrey as part of a coaching team at business retreats, conferences, seminars, masterminds. And I can tell you that shout out and hats off to my good friend Damian Elston, who often invites me out to North Carolina and actually several cities around the country to be Coach Jeffrey on his team when he's doing a sales training or a business growth training or a retreat, or whether it's my joint venture with him to do I Coach, which is where we're teaching his learners my content on motivation and accountability. We still assemble a world-class team, and that's part of the branding. That's part of the promise that you can make. I promise you my company's awesome. I promise you my products are awesome. I promise you my team is awesome. But guess what? I'm promising you I'm awesome, right? What is it about me? What can I promise? I can promise you it'll be fast-paced. It'll be humor-laced. It'll be in your face. It'll be authentic. It'll be emotional. It'll come with tons of examples, a lot of failed jokes. I mean, these are my promises, right? We're going to have fun growing personally and professionally. I got all kinds of promises for you. Let me get back to the word for word reading. Maybe if I've already said some of this stuff. Here we go. Yeah, you can brand just about anything that creates a benefit for your customer, meaning I could brand myself, Coach Jeffrey, as having promises. I could brand my coaching or consulting or training as having promises. I can brand my team if I build a team or am on a team. Makes sense. Think about the IBM salesperson who promises to be the most responsive and ethical salesperson. The person who proudly announces his place on the most highly rated, experienced, and professional technical field sales team that only IBM can assemble, branding the team. The one who is selling the most advanced, modern, efficient, cost, and time-saving machines on the planet, branding the product, and who finally reminds you that it's all backed by IBM, the single largest machine company on the planet. So if anything goes wrong, you will have a replacement machine installed at your location before you can even finish calling in the problem, branding in the company. I made that up, but you get what I'm saying. That IBM example where the salesperson, the sales team, the machine, and the company. There's 4 levels of branding that can be delivered there in that marketing opportunity. So understand that. To finish up, let me say this. In future tips, we go deeper on what promises are worth making and how to make them. But for now, understand that a brand is an attention-gating, sensational promise that can be backed up, that is made to the marketplace, and that your company, team, products, and service and self can all be branded. Great marketers will understand and keep all messages on brand. All right, you guys, that's it. 8:15 p.m. That's tonight's installment of Get a Klu in 52. If you have a free moment, go to the Klubrary, www.theklubrary.com. There's some free stuff there. Oh, wait, hang on. Bayon's coming on board. There's some free content on the Klubrary, and there's also some affordable stuff on the Klubrary, some e-courses about strategic staffing and communication and goal setting. And if you're interested in my group coaching and leadership training, my group mentoring around my coaching and leadership training, you can find out about all of that stuff on the Klubrary. Bayan came on. It looks like she dropped off. Yeah, I'm not going to sit and wait for her, but I saw her there for a second. I'll send her a text message because I am interested in wrapping up tonight's session. Jessica and Bayan, I see you on the Facebook side. No worries. You were late. No big deal. We'll do this again next week. If you have any questions or comments, put them into the box. Hang on to them, and I'll address them next week. I'm ready to go ahead and sign off for tonight. This is actually in 52 weeks last year and 17 weeks this year, 69 weeks total. This is actually the first one where I didn't have somebody on board live with me to interact with. And Bayan, you came on board for just a second. So if you came back on board within the next 30 seconds and said hello, we'd keep the streak going. But I'm actually in love with this notion that I could come on, lay the tip down, and get out of here and do it in less than 15, 20 minutes. That's exciting as well. There's no need to belabor things and stay on just to stay on. And like I said, I've got some family things going on under the roof that I want to get back to. So let me go ahead and say thank you to those of you that were with me live tonight, those of you that are watching an installment of this in the future. And if you have any questions, comments, really easy to find. Get a Klu in 52 is a Facebook group on Facebook. We live stream this. It's my YouTube channel. Watch Get a Klu. Like I said, go to the Klubrary to check out some free stuff and some affordable stuff. If people want me one-on-one, that gets a little bit more expensive. That's why I have group mentoring that's a little bit more affordable, and some e-courses. All that stuff's affordable. But every Sunday night, I'm here for free. So if you want to get some free coaching and interact live for free, come on boards on Sunday nights, and we'll have a good time. For now, let me go ahead and get out of here. I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great week.